With a physical production budget of under $1 million, I shot a 1980s Soviet-era feature film whose story spans 3 countries and 3 completely different visual looks, all in 20 production days. To pull that off, I went back and studied Spielberg, specifically for the mechanics, how he shoots fast, economically, and how he gets a big budget look on tighter schedules. Because if you get the blocking wrong, no amount of post can fix a scene that looks cheap. But get it right, and nobody in the audience ever thinks about your budget at all. In this video, I'm breaking down 4 different scenes from my film, the exact Spielberg technique behind each one, and how you can use the same approach on your next project. Hi, I'm Mark Freiburger. I've been making indie films, commercials, and branded content for over 20 years now. I cut my teeth as an apprentice under Michael Bay on Transformers: Age of Extinction. That was an incredible education in scale, speed, and how to move fast on a massive set, but that was a film with a budget built for that kind of scale. My films have tiny budgets. Between Borders is the most ambitious thing I've ever shot on one of the tightest budgets I've ever had. It's based on a true story of the Petrosian family fleeing ethnic persecution during the collapse of the Soviet Union, escaping Azerbaijan through Russia to political asylum in the United States. The film had a nationwide theatrical release, and now it's streaming on multiple platforms. Today, I'm breaking down exactly how I got the big budget look without the big budget crew using the techniques that I learned from Spielberg. So here's the idea that my DP and I kept coming back to on this shoot. Spielberg isn't just a great storyteller, he's one of the most economical filmmakers ever. Film essayist Tony Zhao has a whole piece on what he calls the Spielberg oneer, a single continuous shot that carries the camera from a wide into a medium into a close-up without a cut. It shows how Spielberg works with the actors and the camera moving together so precisely that one camera setup does the job that 3 or 4 setups would normally do. That's the actual thesis of this video. Combine your coverage economically, and the story never feels the difference. Here's 4 scenes where we tried to do exactly that, and you'll want to stay for the last one because it's a simple, emotional, and visual trick Spielberg uses that anyone can do on a low budget. Scene 1. Let's start by breaking down the foot chase sequence. On the schedule, we only had 90 minutes to shoot 2 scenes outside by this taxi. That's 90 minutes to set up, block, light, rehearse, and shoot 2 full scenes, start to wrap. First decision, we didn't shoot on a live street. Closing down a real street means permits, traffic control, off-duty cops, none of which we had time or money for. So we found a street inside a university campus we could control completely. No permits because there was no traffic to shut down in the first place. Here's the sequence. Ivan, the father, is being chased by 3 Russian men who want him dead. His wife and 2 daughters are already waiting in a taxi. He'd gone back inside their apartment for his daughter's teddy bear, and that's the moment the men spot him. He runs out of the building, around the corner, through a tunnel, straight for the taxi. And when he gets in the taxi, he tells the taxi driver they need to go right now, while trying to keep a sense of calm without alarming his wife and little girls. I had 8 actors in this scene, a small stunt where a man in slippery dress shoes has to run across a wet street, a short dialogue sequence in the car, and a getaway. So when planning how to shoot this scene, I was really concerned about how to get not only the right coverage, but also how to communicate all those different story beats in such a short period of time. So my DP and I asked ourselves one question: how would Spielberg shoot this if he had no time at all? And the answer, especially watching Munich, really came down to maximizing the setups by moving the camera and actors throughout the space with absolute economy. So we shot this entire scene in 2 setups. That's it. Setup 1, a dolly in the street, parallel to the taxi, windows rolled down. We start wide on Ivan running through the tunnel. As he closes in on the taxi, we're already dollying back with him, and the shot tightens itself into a medium without a single cut. The second he opens the door, we boom the camera down and land on a close-up of him through the open back window, handing his daughter the teddy bear. Wide, medium, close-up, 3 shot values, 1 continuous move. Setup 2, camera locked off, dead center in the front of the taxi, aimed back at a 3 shot of the mom and the girls, watching Ivan get in. Then, same camera, same position, we just swap a lens for the longer one and shoot through the windshield as the taxi pulls away, catching all 3 men trailing off in the rear view. That's 2 setups, 5 shots worth of story, blocked, lit, rehearsed, and shot in under 90 minutes. Now here's the full scene uninterrupted for you to watch.
You okay?
Here you go.
Thank you, Papa.
We should go.
I became tired of running.
Scene 2. This next one is about what you don't cut to. In this scene, the Petrosian family is hiding behind their window right before they witness a murder in the street outside. We start on a 3 shot, Ivan, his wife, his daughter over his shoulder, all of them frozen watching. Then Ivan turns. As he wraps fully around, the camera dollies in and booms up, landing on a brand new over-the-shoulder shot And we rack focus straight through the window to the street, timed so that the focus lands right before the men pull the trigger. That's one continuous movement with no cut to a new angle outside the window. This is something Spielberg does across all his films, and Munich is full of it, which is connecting an interior space to an exterior one within a single continuous shot instead of cutting between them. It's a harder shot to coordinate. Your principal actor's turn, the dolly movement, the boom, the tilt, the focus pull, and all the actors outside have to hit the same mark in time in one take. Out of all of our shots in the movie, this one actually took the most number of takes because of all the coordination. I think it took us maybe 6 or 7 takes to get. But this is why I think it's worth the difficulty. Anybody can get a profile shot of the dad looking out the window, then move the camera and set it up and get another shot looking out the window as like a long lens POV. But the moment you make a cut to a separate, different shot, you inherently remove your characters and the audience actually from the danger itself. It's a disconnect. But if you keep the action in one unbroken shot, where you connect the physical interior space with the outside space, then you feel firsthand how real the danger actually is. The audience never leaves the room with this family. They watch it exactly the way Ivan does, trapped behind that window, unable to do anything. One of the biggest lessons I've learned over the years is that the camera shouldn't be moving just because it can. If it is moving, it should be to complement the story. And no one really does that better than Spielberg. Now let's jump into scene 3, Ivan and the Russian police. Okay, so same problem as always, no time, no budget. We didn't have the budget for large silks to control sunlight, so we needed a location where we could control the light without them. And story-wise, we needed somewhere isolated and menacing enough for a refugee to have a bad run-in with the corrupt police. So a tunnel solved both problems at once. It's menacing on its own, and the natural light spilling in from both ends was something we could actually block around, instead of fighting it. With this setup, it starts as a master, Ivan walking straight down the tunnel toward camera, 2 officers in the wide shot behind him. We have a quick turnaround on Ivan's reaction, then we cut right back to the same master shot, and the camera dollies in behind Ivan and wraps around him as the officers turn and crowd in. Now it's a 2-shot, and the wraparound itself adds this subtle disorientation because the camera is turning at the same time the men are closing in, and the officers stay dominant in the frame. Once we land in the 2-shot, we don't move the camera again. We just flip the lens, go tighter, and get a close-up of the lead officer as he steps into Ivan's space. The shot is over the shoulder, and we deliberately kept Ivan partially in frame because it makes the 2 of them read as physically closer than they'd feel in a clean single. So that's just one setup, a wide shot that becomes a 3-shot, a 2-shot, and then we flip the lens for a close-up. 4 different compositions that would normally cost 3 or 4 different setups. And when we turn around to get Ivan's coverage in this scene, you want to stay tighter on him so you feel the claustrophobia, the danger these officers are bringing upon him. From a story standpoint, there's no reason to go get a wider shot on him here. A master shot collapsing into a 3-shot, into a 2-shot, all without cutting, shows up consistently in Spielberg's films. Here's the last one, an emotional and visual trick Spielberg uses that's so simple, anyone can do it on a low budget. A few minutes into the film, before the real catalyst hits, Ivan's walking home from work. His shoe crunches on something. He stops, lifts his foot, and finds a chunk of glass under his shoe. He looks up and sees a broken window in the neighborhood bakery, his friend's bakery, the same friend the audience later will see get murdered in the street outside his home. Spielberg does this kind of shot numerous times, a character framed inside broken glass on the other side of some boundary. Hook does it when our trio stops on the steps, and Spielberg shoots it from the inside of the house looking out through a fractured window at them. War of the Worlds does it 3 separate times, a face centered inside a shattered window. And it works because of something we call simultaneous action. The glass isn't just a broken window, it's a boundary. Frame a character inside it or across it, and you get the facial reaction and the threat in the same shot at the same time, with no cut between them. In Between Borders, this was the first sign that something had changed. Ivan doesn't know this window is the beginning of what's coming for his friend, and eventually for his own family. Neither does the audience. But by the time you get to the scene where the same friend is killed, this shot's already done its job. You just didn't know it yet. Even though I would have loved a bigger budget on this film, we really didn't need it. We just needed to focus on prepping the film in advance. As they say, movies are made in pre-production. If you want to check out the entire film, Between Borders is available on Amazon Prime and other streaming platforms. Next up, I'm coming out with 2 different videos. Having raised money for about a dozen indie films over the years, I'm making a video about how to raise money for your first movie, so you probably won't want to miss that one if you're into filmmaking and looking to make a feature for yourself someday. The second video is about how I made a $300 spec commercial with friends that Frito-Lay ended up spending $4 million to air during the Super Bowl. Subscribe so you don't miss when the videos drop, and just let me know in the comments if there are any other scenes from this film that you'd like me to break down shot by shot. And look, I hope you got something out of this today. Thank you for sitting and watching.